Karen from Countyfairgrounds USA, countyfairgrounds.net. Welcome to today's podcast.
Countyfairgrounds and CoolKay here. Do I have the infamous David Fisher on the line with me?
The infamous? Yes, that'd be me.
You're Mr. Rope Warrior.
I am.
Okay, David. Let's start at the beginning of this. You went to school, you had a home, you had parents. Did you go to college?
I did. I went to Emory University in Atlanta and got a degree in marketing.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you do something that not a lot of people do, that I've ever seen before, and I interview people a lot, okay? How did you ever get started in this?
So I was AA volleyball player, which is the highest amateur level that there is. I played against some of the people who played in the Olympics. I started jumping rope to train for volleyball and just fell in love with the sport because there's so many different fun, creative things that you can do with it.
Okay. Have you ever seen anybody else do what you do?
Yes, there are. I mean, there are competitive rope jumpers that are much younger than I am at the moment. So they go to competition, and they don't do exactly what I do because I combine a lot of rhythmic gymnastics and dance and martial arts into what I do. And what I feel I do better than anybody is the interactive parts with the audience, because as I've gotten older, the show's gotten less about look what I can do and more about look what we can do. And so, there's nothing better than bringing people up from the audience that, maybe never thought they could do some of these jump rope things and make them all successful and, in front of the whole crowd. So.
Hey, David, I have to ask because I'm dying of curiosity. Exactly how old are you?
Oh, this September, I will turn 60 years old.
Oh, that's pretty old. Although, I have to tell you, I was a runner, and I ran every 2 or 3 days for 50 years. So, okay. And makes a difference.
And believe it or not, rope jumping is less wear and tear on your body than running is. I
would believe it. But still, if I had to do it again, I'd still do it. So, yeah. Okay, all right. So you got to be a married man. When did that happen?
That happened back in 2003.
Wife do?
Oh, my wife is one of the best makeup artists in the country. And so she does a lot of freelance work, a lot of weddings, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And you have kids?
We have 2 boys. One just graduated high school, and one will be a sophomore next year.
Do they do this rope jumping?
They used to travel with me occasionally when they were much younger, and they had their little parts in the show that they do. When I had to take them with me, it was better than having them sit in the back of the room or something. I just had them perform with me. So.
Okay, all right. And I have to ask you what your parents think of this.
I'd like to say that my family was very lovingly discouraging in the beginning.
Okay.
But, they've come around since then and are my biggest supporters now.
Okay. All right. Well, you won a World Guinness Book of World Records for something that, is kind of unusual. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Back in 1997, I believe, I set the world record for jumping rope while seated on the ground. And they called them rump jumps. I call them tush-ups. And so the only part touching the ground is your backside, and the rope goes like over my head and then under my feet, and you just keep jumping. I did 56 in a minute. That's one record. And then 36 in 30 seconds is another. And there's a continuous record also.
Has there ever been anybody challenge what you did with that?
Well, sort of. I have a little dispute with Guinness because they've kind of conflated my record with something else. So others have quote unquote broken the record, but they're pushing off with their legs and their heels, which is different than what my record clearly says that it is. So, in my opinion, they were doing something very good but different. It'd be like if I had the world record for jumping rope on my hands only, and they let somebody break it in a push-up position. It's different, great, but different and not the same thing.
Mm. Okay, you've got a lot of different things you do in your routine. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So elements of my routine, come from rhythmic gymnastics, dance, martial arts, and, all kinds of crazy, like rope dart. There's all different things. I like to say that I've creatively borrowed from a lot of different disciplines. And so rhythmic gymnastics is that event in the Olympics with the ribbon and the ball and the clubs and hoop and rope. So it kind of looks like cowboy rodeo roping at times. Mm-hmm. You're releasing one handle, spinning it around, and catching it again. And basically, I taught myself all the basic locomotor movements: skipping, hopping, walking, leaping. And once you can do that with a jump rope, any dance that's distinguished by what you can do with your feet, you can do jumping rope. So I can walk, I can moonwalk, I can Irish step dance, and there's all different kinds of dance moves, all kinds of hip hop things you can throw into a routine. And then power jumping, where you go up in the air and the rope goes underneath you more than once. So in my routine, there's some double, triple, and a quadruple under trick. And then, things on the ground. You can do push-ups, you can do tush-ups, you can do a handstand, there's all different types of things you can do. And the great thing about rope jumping, no matter how good you are and how many tricks there's always new things to learn and ideas to share with other people, which makes it a lot of fun.
Oh, I imagine. So did you actually go out and do like performances at different fairs and festivals?
Sure. I've performed at quite a few state fairs over the years. Quite often in the summer I've got a lot of libraries booked, so sometimes it's hard to get, a long run at a state fair. But this year I'll be at the Indiana State Fair, which I'm excited about, in August.
Mm-hmm. Good fair.
Yep.
Okay. Is there some fair or festival that you would like to do that you have not had the opportunity to do?
Oh, sure. There's lots of them all over, I'm sure. I have friends that tell me the Texas State Fair is a great one. And I've been talking with the Louisiana State Fair and hoping to do something with them this year, but we will see.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you've done performances at these events, how long does your performance usually last?
An outdoor show is usually right around 45 minutes.
Okay.
And if I was doing like an indoor show where I might be able to get the room dark, the last part of it, I do these glow ropes in the dark, which is like a laser show.
Oh, cool.
And that's really cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And you put this whole show thing together yourself, right?
I did. But, as I said, it's gotten more interactive over the years. So it really kind of, the length of the show really depends on what happens with all the audience members that come up and do things with me.
Okay. So have you ever met anybody else who does shows like with the kind of things that you do in the country? I'm curious.
There's a handful of us. We all know who each other are. Sometimes when one of us is booked, I'll call one of my jump rope friends. And, one used to be an apprentice of mine, and now is off doing stuff on his own.
Cool.
And, there are quite a few elite jumpers out there, but fewer people that really can do a whole show by themselves. There's a difference between being a proficient at a skill and being an entertainer. And you know, I would like to think that that's, you know, I've worked hard at that, and making the show as interactive as possible has really helped, you know, in my opinion, improve the performance.
Yeah, I bet the kids at these shows, when they go to these shows, they must absolutely love you, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you get people that will raise their hand, and the parents will tell me later, like, I can't believe my son or daughter came up there. And then, you know, there's nothing I like better than taking like 3 or 4 4-year-olds, and in about 3 minutes, we're doing double Dutch with that group.
Oh.
And because little ones who have no preconceived notion of what they're supposed to do quite often make great volunteers. And so it's always surprising to a crowd, you know, that all of a sudden we're doing double Dutch with a group that young.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So do you have anybody? Oh, you told me you got people that you're training, because I would think you would be kind of hard to replace. But anyway, at your age, I mean, you must feel like you did a better job when you were younger with this, right?
No. I feel that I feel the show is better as I've aged. You know, granted, I'm not jumping as high as I used to. My routine is not, you know, comparatively, you know, like I don't think I could enter the Open World Championships and win them, because you know, like an ice skater, you know, if they're doing quadruple axel things, you know, and now you're in your 50s or 60s, you know, you can't jump as high as you used to when you were younger, but the showmanship is still there and different. And when you have a show that's really interactive, you know, I think it makes for a better show, as opposed to just watching somebody try and entertain a crowd all by themselves for 45 or 60 minutes.
So what does your wife think of this?
Yeah, she's been very supportive. There's sometimes, you know, it's as the wife of any entertainer who's on the road fairly often, you know, that can be hard. And I'm very thankful that she's been so supportive and, you know, watched our children while I was gone, and taking care of me if I got injured or, you know, whatever. And we have a very good marriage.
Hey, David, you don't get injured, do you?
From time to time, I've missed. I mean, you know, it's under 10 times I've had to maybe cancel or postpone due to injury or sickness. In 30 years, it's not too bad.
Wow. So do you have any regrets about this career?
Have any regrets? No, I mean, I think looking back, I obviously everybody makes some mistakes along the way, but you know, that's how we learn. I wish I'd have started my songwriting earlier, because I'm told I'm very good at that, and that could be something that I can transition into if, you know, I get to a point where I can't jump anymore. I write funny songs, and I've recorded 2 CDs, and both got really good reviews, and done a bunch of videos, and it's kind of my new passion.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And gives me something to do while I'm driving all by myself in the car. I think of ideas for new songs, and have made some really good friends in the songwriting community.
So you must work out pretty much every day, I would think.
I do not anymore. I don't jump any more than I have to. I save all my jumping for my shows, but I do lower impact things at home. So, core strengthening things, and maybe ride the recumbent bike. I have one of those what's it called? Maxi climber, something.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's low or no impact, but still strengthens all the muscles. I try to do, when I have time. So my other business is selling ropes as well. So, the beaded ropes need to be made, and I do that when I have some free time, and then working on other ventures as well. There's always something to be done.
Well, I don't remember seeing any sales kinds of things on your website. Is it on your website?
Okay, so the Rope Warrior website does have a few products there, but I took over kangarope.com and then /US, which was an existing business. So it's a different website. It has a lot of the other jump rope products.
Spell it for us, David.
Sure. It's Kanga, like kangaroo, but so KANGA rope, ROPE.com, and then /US. That's for products. And then my regular website for performances is just ropewarrior.com.
And what about your CDs?
That's on the ropewarrior.com website in the music section.
Okay. So how did you, I'm curious, how did you happen to fall into that?
Songwriting is something I always wanted to do, but I never knew how to do it. And I have some friends that are, have been nominated for Grammys in the children's singer-songwriter categories. And, I would listen to their songs, and what I came to realize is that ideas for songs and poetry and creative writing, they're around us every day, but now I know how to listen for them and how to look for them. So somebody will say something, and then I'll figure out some play on words on what they were saying, and then all of a sudden I've got a song idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened fairly often. My favorite video that we have on our website's called Maximus. It's about our son Max and all his messes when he was younger. And that one just happened. He was standing in a puddle of milk one day, and he looked up at me and he goes, "Mess." And I said, "No, Max, no mess, Max." And then he started stomping around in the milk, and I finally said, "No más, Max," which is Spanish for no more, Max. And then I put all that together, no mess, Max, no más, Max. And then I started working on a chorus. And if you check that one out, we did 3 or 4 videos with puppets, and they're very funny. And then the last one, called Veggie Rap, which is a rap song about a father that doesn't want to eat his vegetables, that one's animated. And I think that one came out really well. So I have songs like "Where Did Daddy Park?" I have another one like "The Baker Who Loved to Loaf." So mine are filled with puns and wordplay and jokes, and so I think parents and grandparents like to listen. There's stuff for them. And when the musicians first got my songs, they said, "Well, these aren't children's songs." And I said, "It's okay, because if a child doesn't understand this joke or what I was referring to, they can ask their parents or grandparents, why that was funny." And I think that's a good conversation to have. So, for instance, the Maximus song has a line, I'm willing to bet he could make most parents faint. Max works in spaghetti like Pollock in paint. And if a child doesn't know who Jackson Pollock is, is the artist who did all those splatter paintings. I think those are good conversations to have. And I refused to dumb down the lyrics to make it, what the musicians thought would be more child friendly. I just kind of write what's funny to me, and then I've kind of found a niche.
You should have been a comedian.
I don't know. Sometimes I write funny things, but I feel if I ever did that material, I'd destroy my reputation as a children's performer. So,
hey, you could do it while you were jumping rope.
Actually, I had to do that once.
Really?
I got hired for a show in Milwaukee, and I was hired through one agent through another agent. And 4 days before the show, the president was one of the banks in Milwaukee, called me, and somehow he was under the impression that when I wasn't jumping rope on stage, that I did stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of a situation where I couldn't tell him that I didn't. And so I just went along with it. And so then I was kind of freaking out, but I have another friend who's a professional comedian. So I had some ideas, and I ran that by my friend, and he gave me some advice and helped me write another joke or two. And, what his advice was, if you make it more like you're telling a story, the audience will be with you more, as opposed to sitting back and, thinking like, okay, make me laugh type of a situation. And I started telling stories, and they were laughing in parts that weren't even funny. So I don't know if there was just a lot of alcohol that night or what was going on, but it actually went really well.
Okay, so do you have a booking agent?
I have several,
Okay.
like kind of non-exclusive agents. And
so how do people reach you? That's why I'm asking the question.
Best to call me directly. I'll give out, the website is ropewarrior.com. And the toll-free number is 888-JMPROPE. So 888-JUMP-ROPE, but the only thing missing is U, like the letter U. And numerically, that's 888-567-7673, or my cell phone. It all rings to the same thing. It's just 312-944-5063.
Okay. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. It's been fun. And
Thank
I
you.
have to tell you, I admire you doing what you're doing at your age.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure speaking with you as well.
Okay. Thank you, David. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. You too. Bye-bye.